Hello everyone and welcome to the Very Reasonable Pilots Podcast. I'm your host, Charles. Along with me as always is my co-host, Jacob Galoth. How are you doing today, Jacob?
I'm okay. All right. Getting through it. We're doing a back-to-back right now.
Doing back-to-back recordings, which is what?
Little snippet you heard probably on Wednesday of, 2 weeks ago, right? Because this is way ahead.
Yeah.
Now that I think about it. Because at the moment, the one that's about to come out is Journey to Atlantis on Monday, the minute it's coming up.
Mm-hmm.
So this isn't going to come out for another week from that.
Yeah, it's a good thing we didn't put the Snyder Cut stuff in here because it would have been old news.
Yeah, I was thinking about doing that, but now that'd be bad.
Bad.
Anyway, it's your turn this week, so what do you got?
Okay, there's a man, and he can shoot like a needles, like a porcupine's needles.
Oh, that's a shitty idea. Okay,
out
I'll
of his
go
cock.
Okay.
What do you think?
Nope.
Okay.
No good.
Well, do you have any ideas, like spare ideas around in the bucket that you can lend me?
I think I have one that's oddly prepared and in front of me because maybe it's supposed to be my turn this week.
Are you sure?
Maybe.
You sure?
I think you're gonna like this one. So we've been doing a lot of serious shows recently.
You're right.
We did your Journey to Atlantis. And then what was mine before
River
that?
Styx one. There's Tweeter and
that
Mank.
was well before. No, Charlie, you don't know what you're talking about.
I know what I'm talking about. I know exactly what I'm talking about. Tweeter and Mank.
Actually, you know what? We haven't been doing serious ones recently. Your last one was serious, but the one before that was the one we came up with off the top of our heads.
Yeah, those ones don't count.
Which, in hindsight, I'm now regretting writing this one because I wrote this because I was like, oh, I can't do the other idea that I really wanted to do because we've been doing too many serious ones recently.
Mm-hmm. Is it about journalists and some sort of sci-fi city?
It was a sort of very yeah, that's right. It's called Churnout. No, it was like a very serious show in space with aliens and stuff. Maybe you'll hear it eventually.
Ooh, hopefully.
But this one is in present times.
Ooh, present times, 2021.
Yeah, ish. It's a bit different. So it's in a world where there are supervillains and heroes.
Yeah.
That litter the world everywhere.
Okay.
It's a very common thing to, be walking around and be like, oh, the supervillain's fighting a hero now.
Mm-hmm.
But it's mostly like small time stuff.
Yeah.
And the supervillains aren't really as focused on destroying the world. They're mainly focused on killing the heroes.
Mm-hmm.
And the heroes aren't really focused on saving people from like accidents. They're mainly focused on fighting the supervillains.
Yeah. Okay.
It's just sort of their internal struggles, and the world's just sort of okay with it.
All right. Because
what?
Why are they okay with it? Why is the world okay with just supervillains and superheroes causing destruction?
This is a comedic show. We don't need reasons.
Oh, okay. Fair enough.
Anyway, so we start off with a young scientist who's at a school for... School for the gifted
youngsters?
who want to, School for the gifted who want to, work for the heroes, help them fight villainy and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And he's very smart. That's how he got into the school, because usually to get into the school you have to be part of the upper echelons of society, or have like a superhero dad or something.
Or a superpower.
Yes.
Like.
But he's just smart.
Shooting porcupine needles out of your cock. Would they take that guy? Do you think?
No.
No? Why not?
Maybe.
What about the
at
guy
this school?
or just at the X-Men school for gifted youngsters, not the Jake Law school.
I mean, maybe.
Gifted.
I mean, I guess they have to, right?
I guess.
They take everyone.
But, like, I'm thinking about the guy... Do you remember the guy in The Boys who had the gigantic penis?
I have no idea who you're talking about.
Have you seen The Boys Season 2?
No.
Oh my god. It came out so long ago. There's a guy who's got, like, a giant penis that he uses as, like, an arm tentacle thing.
That's really gross.
It is really gross, but I'm thinking, like, would he be allowed to go to the mutant school? Because that's sexual harassment, but it's
God,
also...
I can't wait to cut all this out. Anyway, so Dr. Page is going through school, and he's bullied a lot in this college because, he's not in the upper echelons of society, as I said. He's not special and important. He's just a smart little boy. And as we're doing this, we're also following another person named Chris, who is a college athlete at a neighboring school for like normal people.
Do they have a good name that you call normal people versus superhero people? Do you have those names down?
No.
Okay. I mean, just
anyway. So he's playing college football, and he's really good at football. But the thing is, the NFL's mainly been taken over by superpowered people because they'd rather watch them play. Yeah. But he's really good, and so he's like good enough to compete with them if he like really, is at the top of his game. And so we're switching back between our two characters who are sort of fighting against the ways of the world to do what they want. And in the pilot, they both, they finish school, and Dr. Page finishes top of his class, and he beats all the other heroes, all the smart heroes, all their kids, all their, all those rich people.
The ones
for the top award, whatever it's called. What was it called when you're in college, when you're the best of the class?
Valedictorian?
Valedictorian, yeah.
Because people get validated.
Yep.
Haha.
Anyway, after college, he thinks, he's going to get any job he wants. So he applies to like all the top science firms. And he gets rejected. And he applies to like all the superhero ones, and he gets rejected. And he applies to like, all the really low ones that no one really cares about and are really unimportant.
Yeah.
But still, you got to be a superhero to get in. And they still say no, even though he was top of his class and beat all the other smart people. And same thing happens with Chris. Chris, applies to all the teams, doesn't get in. You don't apply to teams. He doesn't get scouted. He doesn't do well in the combine. Or he does well in the combine, but he doesn't do well compared to, superhero people.
Yeah.
Or well enough. And so, they're both kind of sad. They both end up working at Burger Stop. That's how they meet. They work at the same burger fast food place.
Burger Stop.
Down on their lucks.
Stop, or I'll shoot the burger.
Dr. Page is there because he couldn't get a job, and Chris is there because he couldn't get anything in football. And he spent his entire college career just focusing on football. And so his degree at his university was in hypothetical business reading.
That's funny. I like that. I like it.
So, they're working. And one night, they sort of become friends because, they both sort of have similar backgrounds.
Yeah.
One night while drinking, they come up with the idea to start a villain company. Because they're like, you know what? I hate the superheroes, man. I can't take it. We got to get revenge. I want to be a villain. I don't need to be a superhero. I can be a villain. And so they start Malignant Megco. So Malignant Mega
Malignant? Like a tumor?
Yes.
Like a tumor that doesn't hurt you.
Well, no, malignant means it's like deteriorating. So yes, sort of. You get the idea.
But like a malignant is malignant.
Malignant Megco, that's the name, Charles.
Oh, okay.
It's supposed to be the way it is.
Okay.
So, Page has got his thing. He's smart, Dr. Page. But Chris is kind of like, he's just sort of the muscle. And so Chris is like, you know what? You should make me a bear. He's like, what? What do you want me to be, a bear? He's like, yeah, no, like morph me with a bear. You can do that, right? Then I'll be really strong. I'll be like a supervillain. He's like, yeah, sure, I guess.
Yeah.
And so they morph him with the bear. And so now Chris is now known as Bear Man, the henchman and sidekick, or I guess partner, because they're not really like, it's not really like a sidekick boss relationship.
Someone they would like. When Bear Man's not there, they're like, oh yeah, he's his sidekick. But when he is there, it's like, oh yeah, they're partners in crime.
Yeah. Yeah, okay. Yeah, because you'll get your ass kicked by Bear Man.
Yeah, because he's a giant Bear Man.
Yeah, I'm not going to be mean to Bear Man.
And
it's not like a thing relationship where like Thing is like sad that he's like, the Thing, and he's got all these things on him.
Yeah, he loves being a bear.
Stuff. He loves being Bear Man. Bear Man's great.
Does he like go into the woods and like scratch his back on trees? Maybe he's addicted to honey.
Maybe.
Depending on how comedic the show is, we could make him a honey addict, and like he gets into a stash of honey and he becomes this junkie.
Oh, this is definitely a comedic show, so yeah, we could do that.
Yeah, he's a honey addict.
That could be a good episode. Or like a B plot to one of the ones I have planned out here.
Yeah. Does he still have?
So
thumbs?
they start this corporation though,
Mm-hmm.
but the world of supervillains and heroes is very commercialized, and you actually need a license to operate as a supervillain.
Mm-hmm.
And so they apply to the Injustice Legion, and so they go to like an interview, at like some office building with some like normal dude named Bob, and Bob's like reading through their resume and it's like, all right, you know, you qualify for most of this stuff, I think, but you need 100 hours of villainous subcontracting before we can get you a license and start looking for an arch nemesis for you. And they're like, what, really? Like,
That sucks.
I do like all this subcontracting now.
Mm-hmm.
And so the next few episodes are them working for different villains as like
goons.
they're not henchmen.
Uh-huh.
They're like the equivalent of like interns.
They're the B
Like,
team. You know how like villains will have the A team and then the B team and then the henchmen. You know?
Yeah.
They're the B team.
Yeah, and so they go off and they're working for different people.
Maybe villainous subcontracting could be like, yeah, can you guys set up all the tables for my daughter's bar mitzvah? Or bat mitzvah. We're having my daughter's bat mitzvah in here. Can you guys set up all the tables? And it's just doing odd jobs for supervillains.
Yeah, that's kind of what I have here. Like they don't really get to do anything cool, but they sort of end up doing the cool things themselves.
Yeah.
Like they're henching for the evil villain 12 Toes, whose arch nemesis is Catman, who's definitely not just a different version of Batman.
Maybe.
And their job is to like clean the warehouse and stay out of the way of Catman. When he comes in, they're like 12 Toes is like, all right, when Catman comes, I want you all to just get knocked out by him, okay? Like even if he doesn't really beat you up, I want you to just pretend like you're knocked out because I want to get to the supervillain fight with him. And Bearman and Dr. Page are like, well, that's fucking stupid. And so when Catman comes, Bearman beats the shit out of him. Mm-hmm. And so they just beat up they beat up Catman, they tie him up, and they're like, they show him to 12 Toes and like, we got Catman. And he's like, what? Are you guys kidding me? Like, the whole point, I was supposed to, he's supposed to get in here, I was going to tie him up, and I was going to deliver my monologue, and you just ruined the whole thing.
It's fine.
He's like, look, guys, like, I really like you. You've been putting some good work, but you need to understand there's a formula to this. You can't just beat up superheroes, okay? You're going to get me in trouble, God. And so he fires them, and they have to move on to the next person. It's sort of like, they go through each different supervillain in the world, like figuring out, like meeting the villains and such.
Yeah, it's just a montage of them being in like various different locations. Like they're on the top of like a mountain skiing, like shooting rifles at a guy who's skiing away from them. And then we pan, and then they're in like Tibet, and they're like haggling with a merchant for nuclear bombs or whatever. Yeah. And I think Dr. Page should have, like, he's got rays. He's a gadget guy. He's got all sorts of rays and lasers and shit.
Yeah, I got that. So he's like always comes up with weird ways to take out heroes. Mm-hmm. Like at one point they have a run-in with Mr. Quick, who's like a super speedy hero. And he shoots him with a gadget that gives him like a little ray gun that gives him shin splints.
No.
And so Mr. Quick is just like walking. He's like, ow, shit, ow, fuck, ow, God. Oh, this really hurts.
Turn your bones into jelly. Shoots him with a ray that turns his bones into jelly, and then he dies. Depending on how dark you want to get it.
No, I didn't want to make it too dark. Well, we're going to get kind of dark, I think.
Well, I'm just saying, I think it would be good for Dr. Page, like he kills a up-and-coming speedster, because he's got a ray that turns your bones into jelly, and then he does it, and he thinks it's only just going to work on his legs, but it works on his entire
body.
And his, like, skull crumples in around his brain, and he's just screaming. And it's like, oh,
it's like really traumatic and awful. He's like, oh my God.
He's like,
shit.
because his skin like just starts like ring, and his eyes, he starts leaking jelly, and like it starts coming out from all of like his pores and stuff. And Dr. Page is like, I'm I'm never gonna use this again.
This was awful.
I
mean, I know we're enemies and stuff, but like that was cruel and unusual. God.
Maybe they accidentally keep killing the superheroes.
That's sort of my big sort of season-defining plot is that they hook up with Professor Evil, who's like the top villain. Mm-hmm. And his enemy is Mega Man. Mega Man's like the top superhero. He's basically Superman.
Yeah.
Professor Evil's basically Lex Luthor. And so Professor Evil, you know, he kind of likes the work of Dr. Page. He thinks he's doing all right. He likes Bear Man.
He likes the jelly gun.
And he hires them to make a death ray to kill Mega Man. Mm-hmm. Right? And he's like, all right, I want you to build the death ray, set it up in my lab, okay? We're gonna do the big thing. I'm gonna, start taking over the city. And then Mega Man's gonna come. We're gonna fight. I'm gonna fire the death ray, kill him.
He's got that gun attached to his arm, Mega Man, and he can only move in 2 directions. He can move back and he can move forward and he can jump, but that's it. He's got a giant gun attached to his arm, and he's a video game character from the SNES.
This is
It's Mega Man.
Super Mega Man, we'll call him.
Super Mega. Wait, that's a thing.
We'll
Penis Man.
I don't know.
Captain Mega.
Captain Super Mega Man.
Captain Super Mega Nazi Man, but he drops the Nazi part.
We'll call him Captain Mega Man.
Yeah.
Anyway, but Dr. Page is like, this is an opportunity, Bear Man. We're not gonna just make the death ray, but instead of waiting for the fight, okay, we're gonna follow Captain Mega Man home. Because I feel like it's easy to follow him home. That's what Dr. Page is saying. Like, well, I don't understand why these supervillains don't just follow him home, and then we'll just shoot him while he's sleeping.
Yeah, with my jelly gun.
And so that's what they do. They like track him as he comes back from like one of his heroic adventures. He gets home and he like gets in bed, and they just shoot him and kill him. Like the biggest superhero ever, they just kill in his bed while he's sleeping.
Maybe he's got a bomb. Maybe they're like, all right, we're gonna leave a car bomb, but under his pillow. All right, I got him. It's like, whenever that happens, there's always like, oh, but he'll probably come back. So I want there to be like a full, like, then you pan over and you see Mega Super Captain Man there, and his like jaw's blown off, and he's like, oh. They're like, oh no, he's dead. He's dead. That's a dead man. I think that'd be good.
Professor was like, nah, it usually takes like a year or two, and maybe they'll do a reboot, and then he'll come back. All right, one of those. Exactly. He'll end up coming back. That's just the way it works.
It's probably some ray. There's probably gonna be a ray, or he's got a chamber, or he was a robot. It's like,
We'll put a box in the water, and it'll light up and.
It'll light up. Boom. It won't give him his chin back though. Yeah.
And then I have after that, Professor Evil's like their last job, and they get their license. And they have an episode where they download Archie, which is a dating app to find your arch nemesis.
That's fun.
It's like the whole episode's like them like swiping through, trying to find one.
Yeah.
Like going through different heroes. Maybe they'll meet up for like coffee dates and like talk about like what do you like to do? And the hero's like, oh, I like to save
citizens,
dogs in small towns in the Midwest. And they're like, he's just a little too,
hit him with the jelly gun.
Little stuff for us.
This
is like serious like dating, because they like don't want, they're not gonna kill him yet. They have to become arch nemesis first.
But Dr. Page is like, Bear Man, I told you to cool it with the jelly gun. I'm sorry I told you about it. I've destroyed the jelly gun. It was the worst thing I've ever seen. And it's like, Bear Man's like, it probably tasted delicious. Oh, all that jelly. And human flesh, because I'm Bear Man. Part bear, part man, all villain. Yeah.
Yep.
That's exactly. Bear Man's logo. That's what he says. Everyone's like, what? Can he be bear from the neck down?
Bear from the neck down?
Yeah, so he's got the head of a normal man, but the body of a bear.
Yeah, that works.
Yeah, Bear Man. But it's not like, it's like his neck is the same, and it just comes to a little like at the end of the bear body, And there's
and I
just
feel like he thinks that's a little weird looking, so maybe he has like a little cowl that he puts over. It's like a bear head cowl.
Yeah, he's got a hat. Can we get like a goofy actor to play Bearman?
Yeah, sure.
Like Steve Buscemi.
To play Bearman?
Yeah.
I feel like we need someone a bit more muscular to play Bearman.
No, just Steve Buscemi's head popping out of a bear body. That'd be great.
Okay.
Or
probably someone younger too, because I can't imagine. I mean, these people just got out of college. They're pretty young.
It made him. The bear serum made him old age.
We could do it animated, and then we could look however we want. Steve Buscemi can do the voice.
Yeah, love Steve Buscemi. Don't you?
He's
great.
All right.
He's great. Haven't you seen Boardwalk Empire?
Nope.
Steve Buscemi is making the world a better place for ugly people everywhere.
I see. What a hero.
Yeah. What an ugly hero. I mean, I love him, but he's a weird looking dude.
Yeah.
Why wasn't Steve Buscemi in the Snyder Cut? They should have cast him.
They should have cast him as Martian Manhunter.
They should have cast Steve Buscemi as Superman's mom.
Yeah. So Martian
Manhunter.
Manhunter.
Great. I would. Oh my God! Why doesn't Martian Manhunter just like, if he's like, I don't want to be recognized as an alien, I'll just look like Danny DeVito. Why doesn't he look like Danny DeVito?
Because they couldn't afford Danny DeVito.
They could definitely have afforded Danny DeVito.
Nah, I would have blown the whole budget.
Maybe.
Anyway, I'm almost out of stuff here. Basically just have one little plot thing left where they realize that sort of like the whole supervillain world is rotating around like heroes fighting villains. And it's not really about like the villains like getting money and power and stuff. And they also realize that like the city's become really distracted every time there's a superhero fight because everyone's like, oh shit, like we gotta watch this. So they come up with this big scheme where they like set up like big fights in the city between, you know, them and another hero, or like different villains and a hero. And then they have like this retinue of henchmen that like rob all the banks in the city while this is happening, or like steal and do all this stuff. Well, like they do, it's all just a big distraction. Yeah. And they have like this big, you know, situation going on where it's like, all right, you know, Professor Evil, you go into the city and you fight Captain Mega Man from Fort Hill 6.
Captain Mega Man's dead.
No, we killed him. Back, you get the idea.
We killed him.
All right, so it's Mr. Quick and Professor Evil.
I killed him. I turned his bones to jelly.
Okay, it's Catman. Okay, Catman and 12 Toes are fighting.
This is the problem. I keep turning people to jelly.
Okay, it's Catman and 12 Toes. They're fighting in the city. Everyone's watching. And it's like, all right, 12 Toes, you got to fight him from 4 till 6, okay? Henchmen will go through. They'll rob all the places, place all the money with fake money or something. And you'll get like a 20% cut. He's like, oh, sweet. And so like over time, the villains get like really rich off of this scheme where they just like fight superheroes just for the distraction. Like the plot that they're like saying is like, oh, you know, world domination and stuff, but it's really just so they can rob.
It's like banks. WWE. It's like wrestling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's all just a big distraction. All right. Well, that is my show, Malignant Megco. Maybe it's called something else.
Maybe called something else. Malignant Malpractice.
How about
Malpractice, the Malpractice firm.
Insidious Industries.
Okay, that sounds good. Insidious Industries, and they're kind of like card sharks. I kind of like, you know, I'm thinking of them as like people who it's like everyone comes to them and they just like do this thing and they're making all sorts of money, like in a casino. Or what's that? The Goodfellas. They're like, we were raking in the cash. Everybody had their thing. Bearman was security. He makes sure nobody comes. You know, that sort of thing. And they've got a whole crew. And that's their gang. That's their thing. Is they set up fights in order to get all this, to steal all this money. And they're like constantly being attacked by superheroes who are like, we know what you're fucking doing, you asshole.
It's like super obvious, and they're like, all right, you get a 10% cut, okay? And the superhero's like, you know, actually I don't really get paid for this, so like that kind of makes sense to me.
You get 3 percentage points of what we make every year, every month. We're like, okay, that sounds good.
It could be like a whole big thing that like the heroes and the villains all just fight each other just so that like the henchmen can go around committing crimes.
Yeah.
As a distraction. And the heroes don't get in trouble because it's like, oh, well, they were busy, you know, fighting the villain.
So maybe there's like an FBI plot, like the FBI is looking into our books. They don't know how we got all this money. We can't tell them we stole it. We have to come up with a scheme, you know, because we're
they come up with some
industry.
maybe like this. They're like, oh, you know, they pay off Mr.
My
Quick, and he's
brackets.
like, they pay off Mr. Quick, and Mr. Quick's like, oh, I found the villain. It's this guy. He's definitely not the dude that used to beat up Dr. Page in college. No. This is a bad person. And they pin it all on him.
Or maybe the guy I turned to jelly wasn't Mr. Quick. He was Quick Jack. Quick. Yeah, Quick Bill. And I want him to survive. I've turned Quick Bill to jelly, but he's still alive. He's just being like he's in a tank and he's floating because all of his bones are jelly.
They pin the whole thing on him.
Yeah. That'd be great.
He's the mastermind behind it. He's like, I can't feel nothing but pain.
He's got like a Stephen Hawking voice.
Kill me. Yeah. And they're like, yep, yeah, it was all him. It's all just an act. And the police are like, oh, okay. And then they put him in jail. They're like, you know, without like anything helping him. He's just like a pool on the floor in the cell.
They just like lie him down. It'd be like a suit without anyone in it.
Yeah.
But it's a man. And it'd be like, And maybe he's got a Stephen Hawking voice, and he's like, I do not understand.
And maybe he could come back as a villain later on.
Yeah. Like
a villain to the villains.
Yeah, maybe he's got
yeah.
He's got a thing that holds him at normal height, just from the skull, like it's drilled into his head, and it's just like a walker. Because he can't move, so it just holds him at eye height. Yeah, cool.
Oh my god.
I think that will be good.
Do you think that would be a good television program, Charles?
I think that is a very reasonable pilot idea that you've had.
Really?
Oh, we said the thing. Yep.
Oh my god. I think that was a very reasonable pilot podcast.
All right. Thank you, everyone, for listening to the Very Reasonable Pilot Podcast. I am your host, Charles Long. With me, as always, has been my co-host, editor, producer, podcast mascot, Jacob Cloth. He's here. This is the only place you can find him. You can find me on Twitter at Charles_Lungs, and you can find the podcast on Twitter at VRP Podcast. Thank you for listening. You can find us on YouTube and Spotify and all sorts of places. And if you were a supervillain, what would your supervillainous name be? And how would you defend from me shooting you with a ray that turned your bones into jelly? Yep.
You wouldn't.
You wouldn't, exactly. You'd just be turned to jelly. It'd be bad. Be bad. All right. Well, thank you, everyone, for listening, and goodbye.
Goodbye.